Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada. Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev. Shri Radha Govinda Madhav ki, Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Gaura ki jai, Shri Giri Govardhan ki jai, Shri Jagannath Dasa Maharaj ki jai, Sri Lasikanda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Swagatam, Suswagatam, welcome. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjara Sharakaya Shakshu Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Lagunatam Vitam Tam Sam Jivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jigadpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchane Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Shabanu Sute Devi Hanamami Hari Priye Vanshakal Patarubhishta Kripas Sindhubhya Evacha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Sadigo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So Gaura Vibhava Bhumestvam. This is the disappearance of Jagannath Babaji Maharaj. So he appears in this blessed line of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. He's an extremely great personality. Sarvabhaum. Sarvabhaum means the foremost. Is the Vaishnava emperor. So his pranam goes as follows. Go Avirbhav Bhumes. He is the one who has found the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Go Avirbhav Bhumes. Tvam Nirdashta. Nirdashta means the indicator. He is the one who has indicated the exact birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. So Sajjana Priya is very dear to the Vaishnava. Vaishnava Sarvabhaum. So is the foremost. Sarvabhaum means topmost, foremost Vaishnava. Sri Jagannathaya Te Namaha. We offer our respectful obeisances to him. So where can we can be interactive. Where does he appear in our line? It's not so far from us. We have Srila Prabhupada. This is our founder Acharya. Okay? So let's try to backtrack a little bit, because I can see you're quite new. Who is before Srila Prabhupada? Okay, very good. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His Guru Maharaj was Srila Gaur Kishore Dasa Babaji Maharaj. And his Guru was Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And his Guru? Dasa Babaji Maharaj. Okay. So we're going, basically he was born around 1750s, approximately. In a remote village, what is today Bangladesh, in the district of Mayaman Singh. And he was quite hailing from a very aristocratic family, actually. Even though he became one of the most renowned person on earth, he hailed from quite a good lineage, aristocratic line. So let's go further back, because you will see that his lineage is going through very great personalities. So prior to Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, we find Madhusudan Das Babaji Maharaj, great personality also. And before Madhusudan Das, then we find the foremost, Baladev Vijayabhushan. When you read Bhagavad Gita, the front page, did you notice? Srila Prabhupada says, I dedicate this book to Baladev Vijayabhushan. Baladev Vijayabhushan practically the most important acharya. Only because of him are we called Brahma Madhva Sampradaya. Before him we were orphans. Of course, we're coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Originally our Sampradaya was called Nimai Sampradaya. But then it died off. So only because of Baladev Vijayabhushan in the 18th century, how we connected to the Brahma Madhva. Because he himself was a Tattvavadi, he was stemming from that line. So thanks to him we have been connected to one of the four Sampradayas. Before that, as you know, the Orthodox school, they don't accept the fact that Srimad Bhagavatam is natural commentary of Vedanta Sutra. So because of that, Baladev, forced by the Ramanandis, he was forced to come up with a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, which was dictated to him by Govind, Shri Govind, the deity in Jaipur. So that is why it's called Govinda Bhashya. Anyway, to make a long story short, because of Baladev Vijayabhushan only, we are connected to one of the four Sampradayas. So Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj is coming in that line from Baladev. So, according to Gaudiya Vaishnav's Jivan, it's a book, his Diksha Guru was Jagadanand Goswami. See, you may have a Diksha Guru, just like you have Diksha Guru, or you're going to have Diksha Guru. But in those days, they wouldn't take sannyas. The sannyas in Gaudiya Vaishnavism was reintroduced by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So in those days, the norms was they take Babaji. When they become quite aged, that was the Vesh, and the Vesh, Babaji Vesh. Vesh means garment, They would adorn the Vesh, the garment of Babaji, white, pure white. So you could ask why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur introduced sannyas. Because the norm, again, for centuries, hardly anyone took sannyas amongst the Gaudiya. It was not the norm. Even at the time of Mahaprabhu, very rare cases. Mahaprabhu, of course. Godada Pandit, Madhavendra Puri Gosai prior to him. But most of the devotees were Grihasthas, even Paramahamsas. They were Grihasthas. So why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur introduced sannyas? Do you have any idea?
Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, why introduce sannyas?
He reintroduced sannyas in our line. Of course, 20 centuries ago, the person who introduced Tridandi sannyas is Adi Vishnu Swami, way back, at the time of Jesus Christ. He initiated 700 Tridandi sannyas. Can you imagine? Adi Vishnu Swami. He was the first Sampradaya, heading the Rudra Sampradaya. But after some time, that practice disappeared of sannyas within Vaishnavism. So the one who reintroduced it is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Why? Because unfortunately, people would take the Babaji Vesh, then they became extremely degraded. You have to remember that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur went to the Delhi government to tell the government the Babaji are making the widows pregnant. Just how degraded they became. So he told the government, you have to do something. So Bhaktisiddhanta had nothing to do with Babaji. Even though his father took Babaji from shore. But he himself, because he was Gushtananandi, a preacher, he said, no, I want to go back within Varnashram. Babaji is not within Varnashram. And number two, to keep away from this Babaji line. I have nothing to do with them. They are most of the time degraded. But prior to that, that was the norm. You have seen, they're taking Babaji from one another. So he performed bhajan in Brajamandal. Brajamandal is Vrindavan for many, many years. And he became extremely famed, even in his days. Siddha Purush. Is a perfected soul. It's not a conditioned soul like me. Perfectly realized soul. Even in his own time. He would chant sometimes 3 days and nights continuously. Without sleeping, without eating, fasting. He would fast a lot. And then after 3-4 days of chanting, then he would take flat rice, and prasad, dahi prasad, Totally transcendental personality, you cannot relate. It's beyond the norms. It's called avadut, beyond the conventional norms. In 1880, so he was born, can you imagine, 1750. Just imagine how long he lived. Some say he lived 147 years, some say he lived 135 years. I mean, he lived a long time. So around 1880, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a very great personality in our line, father of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was himself a deputy magistrate. He had climbed all the ladder of the social evolution in India in those days. He had become a Supreme High Court judge. There were only 2 Indians who were High Court judge in India, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was one of them. So extremely respected personality, even amongst the Britishers. Can you imagine? The Britishers, they built a rail track just from his home to his work. This is the magnitude of this personality. Even the Britishers, they built a railway track from his home so he can go out to work on time. His own rail track, his own train. So he was a very important personality, plus, of course, one of the foremost Vaishnavas also ever. So around that time, he visited Srila Jagannath Dasa Maharaja, who was already 100 years old easily. in Vrindavan, he came to visit him, and he got lots of variable instructions. Even though Bhaktivinoda Thakur was initiated by whom? His Diksha Guru, Vipin Bihari Goswami, in the line of Gadadhar Pandit. But this is our line. Even though we take initiation, our line is Shiksha. Our line is not so much Diksha. We are a Shiksha line. Many instances in our line age, the Shiksha is more powerful. Even though Diksha is there also, but one way or the other, it's a Shiksha line, Gaudiya.
Sorry,
Yes.
what is the difference between those?
Diksha means dik, divya gyan, hriday prakashito, divya gyan. You receive divya gyan, transcendental knowledge, ikshate. Iksha means to see, darshan. So you have to see your guru. Diksha means you take formal initiation, you take vows, he gives you the harinam. He may give you mantra diksha also later. You can only have one diksha, you know. It's a very formal commitment, but it doesn't mean you cannot have instructors instructing gurus, you know. There's no harm in having instructing gurus also on the side. And as many as you want. Shiksha means instruction in Sanskrit, Shiksha Guru. So one diksha, but as many shiksha as you want. But the norm is, oftentimes they blend nicely. If ever there is an instruction from your shiksha who is a bit, it sounds peculiar to you, you double check with your diksha. Maharaj, my shiksha is such and such, and he gave me this advice. What do you think? I'm a bit puzzled. You double check. But it's totally fine. We have different types of guru. Vatma Pradashaka Guru, the one who brings you to Krishna consciousness. For me, it's my brother, I would say, my young brother. He himself is no more a devotee. So, it can be very peculiar. Sometimes the person who brings you to Krishna consciousness, he himself is not so strict. It happens. But at least Vatma means path. He gave you the path, so you have to be quite grateful. Then Shetya Guru. Shetya Guru means Shetya, in the heart, Chitta. So it's in the heart. This is Paramatma. Okay? So this Bhaktivinoda Thakur visited him around 1880. And in those days he was Jagannath Dasa Babaji Maharaj. He's a Paramahamsa. He's extremely revered by all. He came to one district, Burdwan district, it's a village, Amala Jod. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur by then was already such a big official governmental magistrate. He could move about India on his own. He was always acting under the British government. So what happened, on the pretext of some government business, he went there. But actually, he went there to relish the association of his guru, because he took shiksha guru. He took instruction from Jagannath Das, Babaji Maharaj, even though he was initiated by someone else. You follow? So there's no harm, and you can see in this case, he will place Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj on much higher pedestal than his own guru. There's one story I can tell you with his guru. His name is Vipin Bihari Goswami, in the line of Gadadhar Pandit. So much earlier, prior to that, in the early days of his life, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was born in 1838. At one point they took Diksha from him, Bipin Bihari Goswami. And you know, this is the tendency, the Guru obviously will bless you. Sometimes he may put his feet on your head. And the young Bimal Prasad was already born. Bimal Prasad is the future Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was born in 1874. He could see, he was still young, and he visualized the scene. This Vipin Bihari Goswami is putting his foot on the head of my father. So he was quite shocked. And then one way or the other, but his father took it nicely because that's the norm. He's my guru. He can do it whatever he wants. Then he had to eclipse himself from the room for some time. And the young Bimal Prasad, he told the Guru, you can imagine, how dare he to say that? He said, you don't know who is, my father is a Manjari. It's a big offense that you did. So, he's very blunt. Bhaktisiddhanta. And then the Guru was startled. And then later he told Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this boy is very, very bold. So Bhaktisiddhanta didn't like Vipin Bihari Goswami. Because he was somewhat of a smarter Brahman, a bit smarter in his conduct. So the real Guru was Jagannath Dasa Babaji Maharaj of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he went there, second time he's meeting him. So the Babaji was extremely delighted because, of course, amongst Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra, Vigena Bujai, only pure devotee can recognize another pure devotee. Even Prabhupada says, even if Rupa Goswami would come among us, these guys, you wouldn't be able to recognize him. We cannot detect a pure devotee if you're not a pure devotee yourself. So Babaji was delighted to see Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur was, there's two lines, there's Goshananandi and Babajanandi. Babajanandi means they are always in Nirjan Bhajan, they're always totally absorbed in Samadhi, chanting. They chant 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. 1 lakh means 64 rounds. 2 lakhs means 128, and 3 lakhs, 192. Mahaprabhu used to say, is Govind Prabhu, the servant of Mahaprabhu, he had to check out when someone would give invitation to Mahaprabhu for dinner or for lunch, he would send Govind and tell him, make sure he's a Lakeshwar, that he chants 1 lakh. If you don't chant 1 lakh rounds, you cannot invite Mahaprabhu for lunch. So in those days, the norms was 64 rounds. There's no question of even standing as a Vaishnava if you don't stand 64. That's the line of Babaji. They chant a lot. So, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur was chanting also, but he was Goshananandi. And Goshananandi means the preacher. But Prabhupada is a preacher. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is a preacher. So they chant, but their concern is to give the mercy. It's called Udarya Bhav. Udarya means magnanimity, benevolent. You are very benevolent. Mahaprabhu is obviously Udarya Acharya. Is giving the world Krishna Prem. So that's even higher in one sense. Bhaktisiddhanta used to say the best preacher is the Babajanandi who preaches. If you have both, this is great. Oftentimes, unfortunately, we have one of the two. We are recluse, Nirjan Bhajan, we chant a lot, but we're not so much concerned with the world. And vice versa. You can be a very good preacher, but you're not so much concerned with your practice. So, that's why Sanatana Goswami told Haridas Thakur, you're the best, because you have achar, preaching, and achar,
Achar and prachar.
and prachar. Prachar means preaching, and achar means behavior, etiquette, protocol. If you can combine the two, this is the best. You become very powerful. You have to combine achar, your own conduct as a devotee, sadhana bhakti, and prachar, preaching. Don't neglect one of the two. Okay, so Jagannath Dasa Babaji Maharaj, he sojourned there 11 days in Burdwan, and uninterrupted kirtan, Krishna Katha, and there Bhaktivinoda Thakur established a Prapana ashram. It's a little ashram it's a mark of surrender. You go there to surrender to Krishna. In that village, Amala Jodh village. 1893. Now, Jagannath Dasa Babaji has moved from Vrindavan to Navadvip. And he went to see Surabhi Kufij. Surabhi Kufij is the house of, he had many houses. This is the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's called Surabhi Kunj. It's right across the Jalangi. You can still visit the house. When you go to Mayapur, Mayapur is at the confluence of two rivers. It's Jalangi, and then Ganga is coming, and Yamuna, they are mixed together. So there's this Jalangi. They say Jalangi is Sarasvati actually. And if you cross the river, you come to that house. You can still visit the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You can see his bed, you can see his shoes. And there you find the deities of Gaur Gadadhar. Because in Raganug Bhakti you worship Gaur Gadadhar. Vedi Bhakti, Prabhupada installed Gaur Nitai. Vedi Bhakti you worship Gaur Nitai, but Raganug Bhakti you worship Gaur Gadadhar. Gaur means Mahaprabhu, Gadadhar means Gadadhar Pandit. In the Panchatattva, Jai Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu, Nityanand, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar. Sometimes they install Gadadhar and Gaur Gadadhar. So in that house you find those deities, and this is quite an important place. At times there were the four of them, can you imagine? It happens. Historically it's an unparalleled moment. You found Jagannath Dasa Babaji Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaur Kishore Dasa Babaji Maharaj, and the young Bhaktisiddhanta. So you just imagine the kata amongst them. It's totally beyond words. There are four associates of Mahaprabhu on earth. So they met very rarely, but the four of them met in that house. That house is totally blessed. So in that house, he went there. He went to reside there in the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When he came, the whole place became totally electrified. The surcharged with Shakti. These persons they're called Tirthapad. They are moving tirthas. They are moving holy places. This is what Maharaja Yudhishthira told. He told Vidur when he came back. Tirthani Kuvanti, Vandat Sena Kadabrit. You are a tirtha, you are a moving tirtha. He told Vidur. And they are so powerful. Prabhupada is like that. He's a moving tirtha. Tirtha means holy place. And we go to holy places to get purified, but themselves they are holy tirthas moving. Ce sont des lieux saints ambulants. So he was on that level. Huh? So the whole place became totally beautified by his presence. Then he went from there, he went to Mayapur, Yogapit. Yogapit is the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. Srivasangan, you can still visit those holy places. Huh? They are still visitable. And can you imagine, I didn't tell you that, he was he was handicapped. Huh? Can you imagine a 120-year-old? He had one servant, he had quite a few disciples. One of his disciples was called Vipin Bihari. Sorry, no, I'm getting mixed up. His guru, his disciple was Bihari Das. Yeah, Bihari. Very powerful person. He used to carry his guru in a basket on his head. His guru, just like you carry a deity, which is not different. And sometimes he would leap out of joy, out of bliss, out of the basket and dance like a madman. This is Jagannath Dasa Babaji Maharaj. He was a tall person and his body would elongate, become long, very long. And he would dance like a madman. If you are handicapped, how can you dance? So see, these persons are beyond the norms of the jurisdictions of your body. You know, if you are crippled, you're stuck. Sometimes he would be able to dance in ecstasy. So this is, again, I mentioned that in the beginning, thanks to him, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he made ample research as to the exact place of the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, and to corroborate his finding, he brought all the way Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, and in the end, he confirmed he leapt in ecstasy to dance. So this is totally bona fide now. Bhaktivinoda Thakur got the clue. This is the real place of Mahaprabhu's. Okay, so he stayed some time at Yoga Pit, and this is also sometimes those personalities, just like Lord Jesus Christ, they perform miracles, just on, it's not even their concern, but while acting, they're so powerful that one of the sons of Bhaktivinoda Thakur was practically dying he had a skin disease. So, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, he told him, you please lie down in the dhuli. And dhuli means the dust of Mayapur. He got killed. So his main activity was chanting Hare Krishna. He was on the banks of Ganga in Kulia. So it's very interesting. What we call Navadvip today, we have been, well, you may have been to Mayapur, I don't know. We go to Navadvip, right? But in the days of yore, it was not called Navadvip. This is not an old city. This is the discovery of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The Smartas would claim this is the place of Mahaprabhu. Bhaktivinoda Thakur made ample research, said no, this place is only 150-year-old, Navadvip today. It's not an old place. It used to be called Kuliya before. The real place of birthplace of Mahaprabhu is on the east side of Ganga. And no one agreed to that in those days. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to make ample research. He had to go against the trend. The Smartas said, no, Navadvip. Navadvip was not even existing. I mean, it was existing, but he had a different name, Kuliya. So that was not easy for Bhaktivinoda Thakur to prove that, it's on the other side of Ganga. So anyway, this is where he spent most of his time, Jagannath Dasa, in Kuliya. He has a bhajan kutir, samadhi. And one day he asked Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you please build a veranda for the devotees. So immediately Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gave orders to build. So, and also at that time, Bhakti Siddhant, in those days he was called Bhakti Siddhant Sarasvati. He was only 12. And he was, as you know, he got this title Bhakti Siddhant because actually he got the title Sarasvati because he was extremely well versed in astronomy. Bhaktisiddhanta. He was very well versed in astronomy, even at 12. So, and Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj knew that. So one day he summoned him, he told him, please, you make an almanac. This calendar we follow is coming from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He told him, you make a Navadvip Panchika. It's an almanac. Almanac means calendar. Still today we follow the calendar. It was ordered by Jagannath. You please do. He was speaking to him. He was 12. So it was. I mentioned that. So the line goes like this. I told you before, but I'm repeating myself. Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. He initiated many, but one was his favorite disciple was Bhagavad Das Babaji Maharaj, and that one initiated Gaur Kishore. You follow? So there is actually one in between. Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhagavad Das Babaji Maharaj, Gaur Kishore. Sometimes in the line it's like that. We don't mention all and every particular, each and every particular personality, the main ones. But he had quite a few others. Gaurahari Das Babaji Maharaj, Ramarahari, Nityananda Das Babaji, Krishna Das Babaji, quite a few disciples. And Bihari. Bihari Das was his personal servant, and he was his carrier, basically. He was also a disciple. So one time, a very wealthy person gave him 1 rupee. Can you imagine? 1 rupee. What is the worth of 1 rupee today? But Prabhupada explained in his books, when he was a kid, which year Prabhupada was born?
1896.
1886. So when he was a child, his mother would buy food for 1 week with 1 rupee. You follow? What to speak in those days? We are way before Prabhupada here. We are at the end of the 19th century. So one day, a very wealthy person gave him 1 rupee. And then he went on his way. You know what he says? He says, I can understand you have a good deal of money. I couldn't bear the burden of carrying 1 rupee. I wonder how you tolerate the burden of so many rupees. So please take it back. I cannot carry it. It was totally unpredictable. I mean, if you receive money as a Goshtananandi, you accept, thank you. Prabhupada used to say, thank you, and then the other hand. So you can see the demeanor, they are quite different. It's unpredictable. You cannot predict such personalities. Sometimes he would accept donations, sometimes he would not. Sometimes he would show his detachment, and you cannot predict this person. They are avadut. Avadut means totally beyond the norms. You cannot predict. You cannot even relate. They're beyond. So Suryakund is a place. The villagers there built a room and a small temple for Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. He installed a deity there. He was very fond of archana, of deity worship. So, and his disciple was not ordinary, because his guru would tell him straight orders, please find a deity. I want to install a deity. Please go, bring a deity. So, it's like, just like Prabhupada, he tells the story, bring Garcia. You know the story? Prabhupada is telling a disciple, go and get Garcia. So you don't know who is Garcia? You don't know nothing. Go get Garcia. Yes, Maharaj. I have to search. First, who is Darsya? Where does he live? So it was the same. Go get a deity. Yes. So he has to manage to find a deity. His guru ordered. He was like that, very blunt. Go get a deity. I want to worship. So Bihari was not an ordinary soul. Can you imagine? He has to find, at that time, yes, Maharaj. So he went to, there was one village, Sonarudi village. But it's about 8 miles from Katwa. Katwa is, you may know the place, it's where Mahaprabhu took sannyas. And then he requested the local landlord, please give me a deity. So then he received Gaunitai deities. Then he went to Calcutta on his own and collected 5,000 rupees. In those days, can you imagine? You can add up how many zeros? Easily 5 lakhs or perhaps 50 lakhs, who knows? So he went collecting donations from Srinath Rai, very renowned Laha family. Then he came back to the village, Soyakund, and he installed the deities. He had the deities installed. And so old. So you can see, they are such powerful disciples. He had found the deities, collected the deities for maintenance. Now, those deities were installed. Now some thieves, some gundas, dacoits came to steal the deities because they had so much oja and effulgence. The thieves thought, well, this is gold. Let me grab the deities. The rascals. Even recently, I was 20 years ago, perhaps 30 years ago, I've seen the deities of Arihar in Mayapur. Arihar deities is a combined form of Shiva and Vishnu. Arihar. And can you imagine that they cannot even understand, the scientists are studying the metal, it's unheard of. It doesn't exist on the planet. They don't even know what it is. They cannot even scratch it, this deity, Harihar. So one day, some thieves, they stole the deity. They were trying to make money out of it. They could not. And then they dropped the deity in some bushes, and there was a female jackal. Usually you don't see jackals during the day. But the she-jackal, during the day, in broad daylight, she was coming to Vaishnav and up and down like this. And people were puzzled, why she's doing that? And finally, they followed that she-jackal and they brought her. She took them to the bush, and inside was Harihar deity. This is how you can visit the deity. So same story here, some gundas, they stole the deities. But one or the other, they felt exhausted and they got bewildered and they just dropped the deity, finished. Though when the story came to Jagannath Babaji, he was extremely disturbed. He told, please donate the deities. Can you imagine? you know, this is discipleship. You've been through hardships to install, to collect. The Guru is telling, please donate the deities. So, it's like it happens sometimes with even your Guru. Do this, you do it painstakingly, and then, okay, let's move to something else. Let's do something else now. So don't be attached even to your service, because it may change, So then, Bihari Das, he went to Vrindavan, and he gave the deity to a Goswami, a Bengali Goswami, and they are still worshipped today. Dobigati, Gopal Bag, and they are called Sonar Goranga. Sonar means gold. Sonar Goranga. And then a few days later, Jagannath Maharaj, he told his Bihari, oh, I cannot live without a deity. So bring another deity. And hearing his guru's comment, Bihari doesn't speculate. Radhakund, he goes to Radhakund and he met Denudas Babaji of Mathura. And then in a stack of hay near Radhakund, they found a deity, Sadbhuj deity. See, you have to understand these personalities are so powerful, they are trikalagya. They know all the phases of time, past, present, future. So they know exactly where is the deity. So you have to follow absolutely rigorously those devotees. Because they have such a vision, they know everything ahead of time. They are so much Krishna conscious. But it's like a lila, I want another deity now. And in a stack of hay, out of the blue, they found a deity. A deity of Sadbhuj. Sadbhuj means 6 forms, 6 arms of Ramachandra. Actually, it's the deity of Sadbhuj. Ram, Mahaprabhu, and Krishna. Sadbhuj, 6 arms. 2 arms of Mahaprabhu. What does Mahaprabhu carry? Danda and Kamandalu. Krishna, 2 arms, flutes, and something else. And Ram is bow and arrow. So you find that it was actually, Mahaprabhu showed that form of himself to Sarvabhauma, Sadbhuj. Sadbhuj means Sat, means 6 arms. Bhuj means arm. Mahabaho. So he had the deity painted in Vrindavan and he returned to Suryakund. And then again the deity is installed. He worshipped the deities 10 years, 10 years. And then he goes to Navadvip. And on the way, he gave the deity to a head priest of Gopal Guru Ashram. It was known as Sri Narottam Das Babaji, and not the same one. You can still find the deity today. So now they are going to Vrindavan, so he has to take the train. They're going to Navadvip. So from Vrindavan to Navadvip is a long way. They're taking the train. Can you imagine the conductor when he saw? A conductor is a materialistic person. He's not a devotee. He saw that Babaji. He came down to his service. He said, I'm your disciple. I will do anything for you. On the spot, he surrendered. He's a conductor. He's a train conductor. He has nothing to do with. But when he met him, he was so impressed by the simplicity and blissful nature that he assisted him in many ways. And devotees, they don't have even speech. One devotee, I remember he saw Prabhupada getting off the ramp of the plane, when you get off the plane, you get down the ramp. Just by looking at the silhouette of Prabhupada getting off the plane, he surrendered. He came to see, and he said, "Who are you?" And then he surrendered. Just by looking at the silhouettes getting off the ramp. And those personalities they can subdue you, they can seduce you just by their demeanor, their silhouettes. So they went to see, upon arriving in Navadvip, they alighted from the train. They went to see another very pure devotee, Bhagawan Das Babaji. Ambika Kalna, it's a beautiful place, Ambika Kalna. So they were extremely close. 2 great Babajis meet together. My friend has come. They embraced each other. They fell to the ground in profound transcendental ecstasy. They became unconscious and they entered into the impenetrable spiritual trance. They remained locked up in their embrace, motionless, loving friendship. You know for how long? From 10 in the morning. You understand? So they are locked up, motionless, and people can't relate. So you understand? I mean, we try to have a glimmer of understanding. It's totally beyond norms. This is transcendental ecstasy. Because, you know, Narottam Das Thakur explained the greatest pain of separation is when you are away from the devotees. So there's so much bliss in meeting one another, especially of that caliber, you know, that they are locked up. They just become transfixed. 10 in the morning to 11 at night. Then, obviously, this Bhagavan Das Babaji, he had his own servant also. So, the two servants, they were getting uneasy, you know. Our gurus have been locked up in some embrace for 11 hours. I mean, you hug a devotee, it's great. How long do you hug him? How long do you hug him? Sometimes, okay, 20 seconds, 1 minute. I can understand. 11 hours? See? We cannot relate. So, Bihari, as I told you, is a very special soul also. Bihari Das, he figured I have to find a way to bring my guru to external consciousness. We have to understand at this level, we mentioned many times, even way before that level is called Raganuk Bhakti. You have two types of body. You have sadhana deha. We have a material body, right? We perform our sadhana with our limbs. It's our sadhana deha. But after some time, even from the level of Raganug onwards, Bhakti, you develop Siddharup, Siddha Deha. Because you have to understand that why this body has a shape. We have 2 arms, 2 legs. Why, when you buy a shirt in the shop, that shirt has two arms? Because your body has 2 arms. So why your material body has 2 arms and 2 legs? Because our spiritual body has 2 arms and 2 legs. You follow? So our external body is just the outer covering of our spiritual body. So at this level, Raganuk Bhakti onwards, you have a sadhana deha, which is your external material body, but you have your internal body also. So these great souls, they can access to both. They can perform externally their practice. You know, you see them chanting like you. They may be chanting much more, of course, many more rounds. But on top of that you don't see, they have a Siddharup, Siddha Deha. This is internal body. This is the spiritual body. And in that they perform Nirjan Bhajan. They have their own rasa with the Lord. And they perform intimate services. People like Uddhav, you see in the 3rd canto, Vidur is asking him question, and as he asks questions to Uddhav, he can see Uddhav is gone. He's dead, practically. He has no external life, symptoms. Because what happened, Prabhupada explained in that section, beginning of 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, he's gone. He's gone in his Siddha. He went back to the spiritual world in the rasa dance. And his sadhaka body on earth is there lying, sitting, no external consciousness. And Vidur is of course, Vidur is himself a great caliber devotee, he understands, he's gone. And for 1 chapter, he's going to ask questions. And gradually, next chapter, you see, 3rd chapter, I believe, from the 3rd canto, Uddhav is coming back in his body. But you don't see, but gradually the symptoms are appearing of life. There's nothing left. Heartbeat is gone, finished. People are saying, oh, he's died, he's dead. He comes back gradually to his external consciousness, then he answers the questions. You may say, well, he was gone, how can he answer the questions? No, they can act twofold. Siddha Deha, Sadhana Deha. You follow? They have this propensity. So here, you have to understand when they lock up like this in an embrace for 11 hours, they're into their Siddha Deha, they're gone. So they remain transfixed. No? You follow? So then, Bihari has to figure, you have to do something. I have to bring my guru to external consciousness. So what he does, he massage. You can see the intimacy between disciple and guru. He knows what to do. He massages his feet and chanting the mantra Hare Krishna. Just like Mahaprabhu. When Mahaprabhu was also transfixed like this, they would chant Hare Krishna in the ears. Then he comes back. And both great Babaji came back to external consciousness. Immediately, he understands my guru hasn't eaten for nor drunk for 3 days. Immediately he starts preparing prasad. Because Jagannath Dasa Babaji Maharaj would never take prasad from anyone else but Bihari Das. I'll stop here because it's 9. I'll give you my notes if you want, you can have them. Because I don't want to hold you back. I just touched on him. It's such a great soul. So I've got many leelas, but we are...
Volunteers are trying to be monks. We're trying this program, be a monk for a week.
Wow.
So they're all fired up. You can see they're all for the full morning program.
I can see they have a good ear.
10 of them signed.
Wow.
Prabhu is like our scholar of the temple. He knows anything you want to know. He's the best person to ask.
No, I just repeat like a parrot.
He taught in Mayapur for a long time. Headquarters in India. That's like a spiritual center in India. He was teaching there. Anything you want to know about Krishna consciousness, gurus, acharyas, you can...
If you want to, you read English?
Yes.
You can have my notes. Because I just touched 10%. Rasikanand Prabhu, that's another great soul, but no time. Rasikanand Prabhu lived way before. He was disciple of Shamananda Pandit. That's 16th century. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Krishna.